For one of this morning's must-read op-eds, National Review senior political correspondent Jim Garrity, also a contributing columnist for The Washington Post, has a new piece in the Post titled "When Mamdani Says It, It's Socialism. When Trump Does It, It's Genius." Jim writing tongue-in-cheek here. Quote, "It's a good thing we have President Donald Trump and his administration to stop the spread of Zohran Mamdani's socialist agenda. Instead of having the government take greater control of private companies the way Mamdani wants, the administration is having the government take greater control of private companies the way Trump wants. Remember, Mamdani wants the government to intervene in the decision-making of private corporations in bad ways. But the Trump wants the government to intervene in the decision-making of private corporations in the good ways. Mamdani wants to control the means of production. Trump just wants to be the largest shareholder in the means of production. It's totally different. But remember, Republicans, we've got to stop Mamdani because he's a socialist, because the last thing we need is someone in power calling for even greater government intervention in the private sector. People might start to get ideas." Jim writes sarcastically.
Jim, it's a great column. And David French, it's so funny, as Krusty the Clown would say, because it's true. It is unbelievable that MAGA is freaked out over Mamdani wanting the means of production for lettuce and cabbage. And yet they're cool with Donald Trump taking over 10% of one of the largest tech companies in America and going after the largest defense contractors on the planet, and his Secretary of Commerce and suck up saying, hey, yeah, we should take control over more defense contractors. I mean, again, the hypocrisy just is more laid out in the open than ever before.
Yeah, I mean, first, that piece by Jim is fantastic. He's such a smart guy and great writer, and he's nailing the ideological hypocrisy here. He's absolutely nailing that hypocrisy. But here's the problem. MAGA at its heart is not an ideological movement. It's a movement driven by animosity. It's a movement driven by anger and rage, and it's much more about who's in charge than what they're doing. And so this is why you see just total ratification of everything that Trump says and does, because this is about inflating him. It's about magnifying him, because the ultimate object of the whole movement is that person. It's not about ideology. So these hypocrisies don't matter to them. They should matter to the rest of America, but they don't matter to MAGA.
Matter whether we're talking about capitalism and all the people turning their backs on the lessons of Hayek, of Milton Friedman, of Buckley, of Ronald Reagan, of Russell Kirk, or whether we're talking about the evangelical movement turning their back on the teachings of Billy Graham. Well, why don't we just go back to Jesus, the red letters? The contrast is so stark that the great Tim Keller, and he wouldn't want us to call him the great Tim Keller, but I will. The great Tim Keller said, "I'm not going to use the term evangelical anymore, because my entire life it was a term that identified my faith. Now it is a term that identifies a political movement," which, of course, just ghastly.
Oh, it's terrible. As you know, Ryan Burge once wrote, a great statistician of American religion, white evangelicals are Republicans, Republicans are white evangelicals. There's just this identity that exists between the church and the GOP, and now that's extended into the person of Donald Trump, that the edges are blurring together. And then what's doubly distressing about this, when you have a religious movement tied so closely to a political party, that's just distressing on its own. But then what makes it so much more distressing is, as I was just saying, it's not even really tied to a set of concrete and specific ideas any longer. I mean, after all, Trump watered down the pro-life plank in the Republican platform more than any president in the last 40 years, and evangelicals just charged to the polls to him. It's a movement at its base, with Trump's base, and that is the evangelical base, driven by anger and animosity. That's the animating force. And so long as Trump channels all of that, he can do what he wants to do, as we've seen countless times.
Yeah, because we do know, David, that if you read the Gospels and you really study Jesus' words and his life, he really wants you to be angry and seek out revenge. I mean, it is the complete opposite of the guy who said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall be shown mercy"? You've heard it said, "Love your friends and hate your enemies." I say, love your enemies too. The Old Testament will say, the prophet said, "An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth." I say, when you were slapped, turn your face so, they can slap the other cheek too. When somebody asks you to carry their pack a mile, take it an extra mile. Again, everything that Jesus said, the spirit of this movement is the antithesis of what you read in the New Testament, the Gospels. And we haven't even gotten to the part about the poor, who for Jesus, who was the greatest, the poor widow who gave the penny. What did he say to the rich man? It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than the rich to get into heaven. Again, it is bizarre how so many people that you and I grew up with have completely forgotten everything that we learned in vacation Bible school, in Sunday school, in training union. You go through it, and we're all sinners. We're all flawed. But the idea is there are basic concepts about being kind to other people that have just been left by the wayside. And they're unapologetic about it. They don't even pretend anymore.
No, don't pretend anymore. We're so done with this notion that evangelicals are holding their nose to vote for Donald Trump. That's over. Now they're the lead boats in the boat parade.
They're happily
this
doing
is
it.
a fundamental shift. And what makes it doubly, Joe, you and I have a memory longer than a goldfish. And we remember that for not just years, decades before Donald Trump, evangelicals were very loudly saying that character really matters in leaders. There was 1998 statements about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, character. And then along comes Donald Trump, and then it's the character argument as well. How dare you bring that up? We're electing a president, not a pastor.
Right.
And that reversal was dizzying. It was dizzying, and it remains dizzying to this day.
So also, I think a segment for this show, just listening to you talk, I've listened to your Bible studies with your kids. You need to do a Bible study segment.
Yeah, that's
run by. No, I'm serious.
Sinners Bible study.
Yes.
Sinners welcome.
Let's do it. No, because I think people are forgetting some basic tenets of even like the evangelical community, as you point out. They're not following the basic moral values.
Well, of how you treat the poor, how you treat, how you treat the least among us. Again, we're all sinners. We all make mistakes.
Your Bible studies are really good.
The purpose is you keep striving and you keep asking for forgiveness. But he's so right. David's so right. The book of character back when Bill Clinton was president, when character was king, character mattered. And I will say, even, I've said this before, when I first got into Congress in the mid-90s, the young Christians that wanted to come work for me, they were talking about social issues. They were talking about life, and they were talking about other issues that were sort of more traditional. By the time I left in 2001, they were talking about AIDS in Africa. They were talking about helping the poor. I always said, when I went down to Hurricane Katrina, the federal government wasn't there, the state government wasn't there, but I tell you who was there. Like Pat Robertson's people were there. They were all over the ground. They were feeding those that were destitute, but now you have such a rage and a hostility towards, well, first of all, the dismissal of the poor, who were the ones left out in the cold in this latest bill, but also with immigrants. I've always believed in a strong southern border. I've always said it. But do we show compassion to migrants? Well, one of the most famous parables of the New Testament was Jesus talking about the Good Samaritan. Forgive me, for evangelicals, if you haven't heard this, might be interested, because the disciples asked Jesus, who are we to love? We're supposed to love our, you're supposed to love your friends and love your neighbor as much as yourself. And then they ask, who's my neighbor? Jesus told the story of the Good Samaritan and told the story of the Samaritan who was walking down a road and he saw a Jewish man beaten up and left on the side of the road. But after a priest saw that same man, walked past, did nothing. After a businessman walked past, did nothing. This Samaritan, who the Samaritans were enemies of the Jews, what did he do? He stopped. He took care of the man. He dressed his wounds. He took him to an innkeeper. He said, you take care of this man. And when I come back this way, I'm going to pay for everything you did. Make sure this man is okay. And then he walked on. So Jesus said, that's how you treat your enemies.
Right.
Your enemies are your neighbors. You got to treat them. And so now the fact that these migrants that are coming to the United States, some of who have lived here for 15 years and worked hard,
served children who served in the military.
Children who served in the military are treated like trash. I mean, come on.
No, but
come on. What are you reading on Sunday? Because it's certainly not the New Testament. It's certainly not the Gospels.
Well, they're reading from 2 Corinthians, like the president, because he doesn't know 2 Corinthians because he hasn't been in your Bible class. But the fact is, the businessman that you referred to in the parable of Jesus, and the one that the priest were of the same race as
exactly.
The Samaritan was the one of a different race. And I've told you 1,000 times we've had this conversation. Business Coretta Scott King said to me, I understand your anger, but are you a preacher or are you just out there giving anger? Do you want to be a performer or do you want to be in a prophetic tradition? And it really hit me. What do you really want to stand for? And I think that we have gotten into a place in American history where a lot of people have really need of identifying to themselves, what do you really stand for? How do you go along with stuff that you know is wrong? We're marching on Wall Street tomorrow. We're saying to people, don't come. If you're going to advocate violence, if you're going to do anything that is against the interests of everybody, you've got to stand for something. Otherwise, you become a candidate to follow people that are demagogic on both sides.
And like you said, a willingness to grow with me, a willingness to grow with all of us, a willingness to grow, understanding we're all sinners, but understanding at the same time, you can't every day go out there and attack the weakest among us. Attack people that don't look like us, attack people who are poor, and then claim the tradition of Jesus Christ. You just can't do it.
Absolutely.